we go where no man has gone before.
Boo, boo, boo. Ah, that's
What the fuck is that?
It was like the tones.
That was the tones.
Welcome to the review, a show where two small town dudes don't know anything about Star Trek and give you our big dumb opinions. I'm Troy to the Max Extreme.
I'm the tones.
Today we're diving into a flashback ep.
Flashback!
When did you say this one was from?
It was from July of 2016.
Oh my.
We're getting into our Wayback Machine.
Getting into the Wayback Machine, getting into the well, pulling out this gem.
After talking about The Wandering Earth, which is a Chinese space epic,
Yes.
let's talk about one of America's own space epics.
That's right.
About the franchise that is Star Trek, with the one review we did on a Star Trek film, which was Star Trek Beyond.
Yes, the third installment of the Star Trek movie franchise.
Yes.
Starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, and the rest.
Carl Urban?
Yeah, that's right. This one
very heavy on Carl Urban as Bones and Simon Pegg.
That's right. I think this one was co-written by Simon Pegg.
Yeah, I think you say that in this.
Well, I won't dive into more facts, and I don't want to repeat myself, but this one was like a love letter to Star Trek, and if you saw the other previous installments of this, it divvies out some more time to supporting characters as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think the thing I like the most about this is it felt like a genuine Star Trek episode where it was like even ends with a comeback next week kind of thing. So, yeah, this was decent. I enjoyed it.
very good. So, I don't quite remember what I said 3 years ago, so I don't want to dive into more facts that I can kind of remember about it, so I will just let the audience...
Let almost 3 years ago you do the talking.
That's right, and hopefully I don't sound like an idiot.
You were very racist in this episode.
Oh no, that's past me, not me now.
Oh, you were so racist and sexist. You just
no!
You hated women and people of color so hard. Oh,
damn me!
I wanted to defend you, Troy, but out of my hands now.
Just can't.
I just gotta throw this into the internet right now.
Oh, great. Well, a positive I can look about this is that I've changed.
I love you have no idea that you don't even know if you were racist.
I can only assume I was not.
So everyone, tune in to see if Troy was racist in this. That's the one selling point of this whole episode.
Oh no.
Is Troy racist in this episode? Let's find out.
Starting now.
Starting right now.
Star Trek Beyond.
Beyond.
Hit theaters last weekend.
Yep.
And tell you what, made the #1 movie. It's the #1 movie in America right now. Star Trek Beyond. Third installment of Star Trek 2, the relaunch series. JT, what'd you think?
What I think? No spoilers, of course.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, of course.
Into spoilers.
Beginning. Yeah. But, yeah, I felt like it was a competent movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's a lot of aspects to it that I was a really big fan of.
Yep.
And a lot of it and then there was some things that just felt like a run-of-the-mill Star Trek flick. But beyond that, I think I had, for the most part, I had a really good time with it.
I could almost agree 100%.
All right. Almost.
It was like watching like a random 2-hour episode of like Star Trek, because they didn't have to like set up anything really.
Yeah.
They're just kind of going off on an adventure.
That's true.
And I'm like, this is really good. Like,
Yeah.
it's good to see. And like, Simon Pegg was one of the co-writers of this movie as well.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to see like, I'm gonna say like, he had a bigger role in it. He did.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see not only him, but this movie wasn't like a Captain Kirk and Spock movie, which the last two have been.
Yeah.
They definitely fleshed out like more of like the main crew.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not Uhura as much.
Yeah, Uhura was kind of captured for the most part.
Right. She had, I think, a bigger part in 2.
Yeah.
But
they concentrate on Bones a lot more in this.
Yeah, Bones definitely a lot more. Spock is like out of commission early in the movie.
Yeah.
And so like he teams up with Bones, or Bones more likely under duress teams up with him.
Yeah.
Their interaction is pretty great.
Yeah.
Kirk and Scotty are kind of teamed up separately.
Yeah.
And their interaction is pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's even like little hints of greatness with Sulu as well.
Yeah.
In this. But I like that it just wasn't another, even though I wouldn't complain if it was like another Spock and Kirk movie. I like that they spread the wealth a little bit more. If I had one complaint of the movie, without spoiling it, like it would have been the villain up to a point.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it was fine. Do you know what I mean? Like people have seen it would probably know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I feel with the villain, like I feel like there's so many more questions I had about him.
Right.
When they revealed like what he was, where they gave you as much as they could in the time allotted, and then they were like, well, we got to end it. So let's go.
Well, they didn't really give it as much as like in the time allotted, because they had a lot of time allotted for it, and they gave it to you at the end.
Yeah.
Which like made it more of like, I mean, after seeing it in hindsight, like, oh, it made it like a mystery, and it didn't really like give you everything up front. Which I'm glad they didn't. But I felt like there's a few aspects they could have maybe thrown in there to maybe like give you a gradual progression of the character.
Or I feel like they could have flushed it out more if they would have revealed it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the full reveal. I like that was fine.
Yeah.
There was like one aspect of his, I'll get to it in spoilers. Because like there's certain
like they didn't
attributes of this character.
They didn't have to reveal everything, but they could have revealed it in more segments than like I feel like they revealed everything at that one point.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what the hell was going on until that point. And I don't even I don't mind that. I like being in the dark on some things, but it was like they revealed so much at that one time where it was kind of overwhelming. Like before I even had questions for what was going on, they were already going into their next action scene. Like they felt like they oversaturated like what was going on.
Yeah. And I heard from a few different sources too that this movie was cut down in its script from for 50 pages.
Okay.
And so I think the original draft was like 180 pages or something like that, and they cut it down to like 130 or so. And so I think a lot of that side of the table of things has been cut, especially the villains like army, essentially. Like there's not hardly any background on that stuff at all.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to know a little bit more on them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how is this working? Like,
yeah. Or their ships.
Yeah, that too.
That takes a lot of them.
Yes, it does. And I want to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But overall, though, like, Star Trek Beyond is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a lot of great action scenes in it. You see a lot of great Kirk and Spock moments, as well as, like, the entire cast. And I feel like the movie really pulls it out.
You're so paranoid for these giant bugs.
I thought I heard like a buzzing over here, and I started freaking out.
Like its mate is now trying to kill you.
It gave off some weird distress scent when after I smashed its guts in with a bottle. But anyway, at the end of the movie, like it all gets wrapped up really, really well, and at walking out, I'm like, I had a really good time.
Yeah,
I had a pretty good time with this.
Yeah, it does kind of feel a lot like a Star Trek because it even like ends where it's like, oh, come back next week.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say without talking about it really openly.
True.
Did you want to give it like just a overall grade before we spoil it?
Yeah, I'd say for a grade, I'd probably give it like a solid, maybe a lightly lower than middle of the ground B.
Yeah. I'd probably go like B minus. I really like the end, and I feel like that saves the movie, but there were parts I feel like they could have done in Acts 1 and 2, especially 2, that could have like helped bridge the movie a little bit more to make it flow a little better, I think. Yeah. I would have given it like a higher score at the end of the day. So yeah, B minus.
Right on.
Spoiler territory.
Shit.
Here we go. Let's jump right into the villain because I feel like that's the most thing we're going to talk about.
Villain.
Idris Elba plays a very good villain. But the problem with it I have is that you don't know anything about him until Act 3.
Yeah.
And he has like this ability to siphon off people's life forces and to change his body.
Well, no, I feel like that was how he... Well, like, all right, just to go into the entire backstory of it, he used to be a Marine or like some kind of like general who was like... He was like alive around the time where we were transitioning from like planetary combat, or from like combat like on Earth to combat like in space. Right. So like he kind of like that kind of fucked him up a little bit, and so like
they cut like the military aspect of the Federation.
Yeah, like,
and he was like the last one.
Like they kind of brought up the thing that I like the most about this movie is they try and, without really like going to like these like clunky flashbacks, they try and like piece together a little bit of like the past before Star Trek happened.
Yeah, right.
Like in terms of like a ship that they come across, and then like the backstory of him. They kind of like try and give you a little bit of a sense of like what time was like leading into like this whole era of like space travel and like bartering with like these other planets and stuff like that. And like how I kind of pieced it together was like they like aliens and stuff like came to us before we came to them, and it kind of turned into like a shit show where it's like, oh, we're being invaded, we must attack them. And then when it got to a point where we were like becoming good at space flight, and then we started making peace with them, and then he was like super pissed because it was like, these are the people who've been fighting for like the most of my career. Now I have to like be a captain of a ship and like act like I'm friends with them when I actually hate them. It's kind of like if you made a Vietnam vet like the fucking like the ambassador to Vietnam, like right after the war, when we made, like, if you made peace with them, like, it's like, now you have to talk to them and be like, you killed my friend in the muck and shit. Like, he almost kiddies. It's like this movie kind of felt like
a pretty decent analogy.
Like, this movie kind of felt like the villain was like a space racist. like he just hates anything that's like. Well, he ends up just like hating everybody, but like he started out being like a racist of anything that's not on Earth.
Sure. Yeah. And I really liked that aspect of it. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gives like the backstory on like he found this way to this planet and crash lands on that, and then they have the ability to like extend people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's not really touched upon on anyone except for him.
Yeah.
Like, does his crew have that? as well.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Like his like hive soldiers that are like look like generic video game villains.
yeah.
Like they keep who's the new like alien chick with like the white
Jayla.
Yeah, she calls like his warriors the bees.
Yeah.
Because that's the closest word she can think of it in English.
Yeah.
And they do run like a hive society or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like you don't really what you see in space with all these ships,
Yeah.
like are those just No, they're not, because like Bones and Spock land in one and they have to kick a guy out. I was going to say if they're just computer controlled.
No,
they're
yeah,
not.
they're all controlled by people. I feel like I don't know, like again, this would have been way better if they just gave more of a backstory of it. But I feel like because he lands on this indigenous planet and he talks about how he's come in contact with like the natives. Like maybe the natives are so like they're so like drawn to somebody who like gives them orders that they are kind of like a drone army.
They're looking for like that quote queen.
Yeah, exactly. And
sure.
he's got such a strong military mind that he's so good at giving orders.
Right.
That maybe
I can understand. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that. It just like the numbers you see of them on that planet does not equal what you see in that like cloud of a ship.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so many spaceships out there that are like in this hive of ships that is like essentially like a metallic cloud.
Yeah.
Like those numbers do not equal what's on like the planet, and it's so weird that like the Starfleet or like the Enterprise crew wouldn't even stand a chance against those numbers on the ground.
I know. Like especially like that whole scene where they have to like storm his compound to like save their friends, and it's like, why don't you just have that army like protect you? Yeah. Like why they have to like stay in their ships and wait for the orders to be like that place would be surrounded if like those people were not in ships.
Right. I know. And they could have just squashed all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird. So, but then you find out like Idris Elba's character has stayed alive all this long because he's essentially hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
Because he's extended his life through like an energy transference.
Mm-hmm.
And he does this at a point in the movie where he does it and you're like, what's going on here? Like he's sucking the life out of these people.
Yeah.
But you never really understand that it's like it's extending his life, because when he does it, his appearance changes as well.
Yeah.
And like I kept going to like I went to Chelsea I think twice. I'm like, if they don't explain this, I'm going to be pretty pissed. Like what's going on here? Like because he looks different now.
Well, yeah. Well, I think like when he sucks like the energy out of him, like he also kind of like takes on like physical appearance traits of them.
Yeah.
So at the end, he's doing it to a shit ton of humans, so he's like looking like how he used to.
Right.
Like close to the end.
I mean, you get that like late on like Act 3.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind if that was a trait that was kind of presented like in the middle of Act 2.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't spoil really anything.
No.
Like I've learned how to live for a long time.
Yeah.
Look at what I can do. And then it doesn't. You don't have to spoil who he is until like where he actually does in like Act 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But more on other people.
Yeah.
What do you think of like Bones and Spock?
I liked their camaraderie a lot. Like they're totally like the space odd couple in this.
Yeah.
I actually, for the most part, one of the things I like the most about this this trilogy so far is like the gradual like humanization of Spock is really good.
Right.
Like you go from like the first movie where he watches the entire planet blow up and he's like, that is unfortunate.
Right.
To like now he's crying because he saw that Ambassador Spock has died.
Right.
And he's like full blown crying. Like
right. Yeah,
he's like tears and stuff. And then there's like a funny scene in this where like Bones says something and then like Spock laughs and he's like, oh my God, is something wrong?
Yeah. I really like that. That was good.
Like you can
totally. Oh my God, you're delirious.
Like you can totally see how like Spock is like starting to take on more human traits because he's around humans more.
Right.
Like, he still has his analytical Vulcan side to him, but, like, he's becoming more and more human as, like, the series goes on. I think I like that. That's one of my things I like the most about this trilogy as it goes on.
What I like about this third one is that Spock had a lot of time to shine in the number 2.
Yeah.
In Into Darkness.
Yeah.
And so I like that in this one, he was injured early on and, like, kind of taken out of commission, even though he's still along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like, it gives this opportunity for Bones to shine.
Yeah.
For, like, Sulu to, like... Sulu doesn't have, like, a huge part in it.
Yeah.
But, like, I like that it shows, like, Kirk at one point... Kirk and crew find this old ship.
Yeah.
That used to be the Idris Elba's ship.
Yeah.
That crash landed on this planet.
I wasn't a big fan of that. Like, it was really very, like, coincidence.
Yeah, after I get along with this little thing I'm saying, we can go into that because I agree. But Kirk's like, "Can you drive this thing?" And Sulu's like, "Listen, buddy, I can pretty much drive anything."
What the fuck, dude?
And it's like, I like that it shows him like, listen, you just do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to kick ass at it. And I really like that part. Even, like, I like the look that he gave Anton Yelkin's character, like, after he, like, pulled up and it was like, yep, I did it. He's like, oh, shit, I did it. Like, that I like that part a lot. But otherwise, like, everyone is totally confident in all their abilities. Like, it's not like Kirk, like, do the best you can. I command it. I demand the best out of you.
Yeah,
it's everyone like, listen, I know what I'm doing, buddy. It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah, they feel like a well-oiled machine in this for sure.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, for the most part, they don't have a ship. Like, they still feel like a well-functioning crew.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Scotty and Kirk team up with Jayla.
Yeah.
Was really cool too. Jayla was a really cool character.
Yeah,
I liked her a lot.
I hope they use her more in like upcoming films because she was really cool. Which, do you know she's actually the chick that plays Gazelle in Kingsman?
Yeah, I heard that afterwards, and I was like, you could not tell that at all.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. The great makeup effects on this as well.
Yeah, she looks really cool.
What do you think? This is like. A little bit of a departure from character stuff, but the very beginning of 3 is kind of reminiscent of the beginning of 2, where they're kind of like off on another adventure already, and you're kind of seeing the tail end of it. What do you think of that?
Oh, I mean, it was fine. Like, they even found a way to like connect that to like what goes on in the movie too.
I liked how they connected it to the movie, but I think I preferred like 2's a little better.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny that
I don't remember what 2's was.
2, they find, like, this, like, very primitive culture, and they're not supposed to see the ship.
Yeah.
And they end up, like, taking off anyway because they're trying to, like, not have this volcano destroy, like, this whole civilization or whatever. And so then they end up worshiping, like, the ship because they think they're gods.
Yeah.
I thought it was just more visually interesting than just, like, a sight kind of gag. Than what the third one kind of is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, it is totally a sight gag where like you feel like they're like these enormous beasts that are gonna like maul them, and then they just end up like being like not even knee high, just like
little Chihuahua creatures that are like trying to attack them and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what else? What else about Star Trek?
Doesn't it feel like all of the villains are kind of the same in a sense?
From the 3 movies?
Yeah. Like, they're all just like, oh, the Federation fucked me over.
Yeah, kind of. They're not all the same, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like, it feels like their motivations are kind of the same of, like, I need to fuck over the Federation in, like, the most drastic way possible.
Right. Yeah,
all right.
I agree with that. Federation, just get your head out of your asses.
Yeah.
Quit fucking people over.
Yeah. Like, I think it would be cool if, like, since they've been doing this, like, if in the next one, like, it turns into a thing where Kirk turns against the Federation, where, like, he turns into the people he's been fighting, like, the last 3 movies.
Yeah. That'd be okay. I would like that.
Yeah, fuck the Federation.
Fucking. What'd you think of like that? Like Grand Central Station of like the Federation or whatever. That big Uber Halo planet.
What's it called?
I can't remember.
Yorktown.
Yeah, Yorktown.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That was really cool, and I'm glad it took like that minute kind of like tour of the planet.
Yeah, like the way it plays with gravity and stuff was really cool.
Yeah. Like it was super futuristic. Like think of it like almost as like 8 Halos put together, and they're like they end up like making like a sphere of a planet essentially.
If you took like 4 Elysiums and then like put them in a blender and then took them out and threw them in
right. Because it's not just a ring, it's like a ring and you turn it and then it's another ring here and then they have like axes and everything and like that.
They twist around each other and
it's really cool looking because like the cities aren't like because gravity works really weird on there, like the cities are like built perpendicular of each other, but because gravity always is flung outwards, it always works, so it's really cool.
Like the gravity just comes to like a point at the end where like all like the skyscrapers kind of meet. So like, and they play around with that really cool at the end, like at the end fight scene.
Yeah. And I thought that was a lot of tension too.
Yeah.
Like that fight scene, even though it's like always like saved at the last second, but
he's totally gonna survive. But then it's like, oh
but I thought it was really cool. Like going and watching this movie, and I was watching this with Chelsea, and I'm like, this needs to pick up at some point, and as soon because a lot of things were happening in the first 2 acts, but not a lot of things were happening, you know, to advance the plot. It was like, here's an action scene. Like, especially like in the first act. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on, but really nothing's advancing the plot.
There's a lot of evasion in that 45 minutes from like when they crash land to like when they take off. It's a lot of like evading people.
Yeah. But like the third act I really enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
Like I would like to see just that part again.
Yeah. Like their way that the way that they piece together how to actually beat like this cloud of like ships up to like the whole chase scene through like the Yorktown, right? And then like the fight scene at the end on top of all those skyscrapers. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like that's the only thing I really want to see again.
Yeah.
There's something we were gonna bring up before I lost my train of thought. What was that? Oh, the being coincidental that they found that ship.
Yeah, very coincidental.
Yeah, and the fact that it used to be Idris Elba's old ship.
Yeah,
and everything like that too. So like,
yeah,
and the fact that he was on that planet for how long and he couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, like they also do that thing where like she used the she had like some kind of sensors that like kept it invisible from people.
Yeah, like the cloaking devices or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that. Like, oh, I thought I parked it right here or whatever, and it's not here anymore or whatever. I can see that, but like, did she find that right away?
Yeah, I don't know.
So there's a lot of unanswered questions on the evil side of things.
Yeah.
That I'd like to have answered for me. But otherwise, like, I thought Star Trek was pretty decent.
Yeah, I definitely had fun with it. Let me see.
There was actually when we were talking about this on last show, there was a guy who commented on our SoundCloud account, and he was like trying to correct us that it wasn't. We were saying Chris Hemsworth is going to be in the next one, which he is.
Yeah.
But he's like, "You mean Chris Pine?" And I'm like, "No, I know Chris Pine's in the movie. I mean Chris Hemsworth is also going to be in the next movie." And I was like, then I made a joke just like, Star Trek 4, Hemsworth, Pine, Hunk City or whatever. It's like Battle of the Hunks, even though they're father and son. Like
Star Trek 4, A Tale of Two Chris's.
Yeah.
There's like a thing where like to go back to like Spock's like humanity and stuff. Like the thing where like he they find the city by like using like the radiation like going off of Uhura's necklace. It's like he gives her like essentially gives her like a part of like his planet, which is like gives off like this small thing of radiation, and he thinks of it like right away, and they're like, you have a cloaking device on your girlfriend, and he's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And it's like, dude, you totally just that's like the first thing that came to mind when like it was brought up. Like that totally went through your mind at least once.
Yeah.
So it's like no, I do not care of what she does with her life. And it's like, no, but you got like a small cloaking device on her. Like if he really wanted to find out where she was, he could totally find her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was funny.
I actually have a review from a Twitter user, Matt HH. He's a total friend of the show, Paper Keg, their podcast and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And there's a Paper Keg group on the app called Slack.
Yeah.
And I threw it out there today, like, hey, if anybody out there has seen Star Trek, what'd you think? At Matt HH has this to say.
Okay.
Star Trek was overall a really enjoyable movie. It had major action set pieces that you'd expect in a summer movie, but it also was driven by tons of smaller character moments, which we said.
Okay.
The very best thing was the split up of the team so that you could emphasize smaller pairings. This was best exemplified by the Spock and Bones spending a bunch of time together. This particularly showed off Carl Urban, who stole the movie, IMO, versus Quinto, who totally rocked it in Into Darkness, which I agree. I actually really like Into Darkness.
Yeah.
A lot of people shit on it for being like a ripoff of Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
I don't care. I still like the movie.
Right on.
Fuck the haters. It does feel more like an episode, and that aspect really worked. It was also cool to see that the suspense... It was also kind of cool that the suspense of the mystery of the movie really holds your focus as you're waiting for the resolution. Ultimately, 2 thumbs up.
Right on.
There you go. I almost completely agree with his review, except for, like, the suspense, I'm going to say... I felt wasn't necessarily suspense, was not giving you any information. Like, I wasn't held in suspension about this guy. I was like, just mad that like I didn't understand what was going on.
I wasn't so much suspense as I was curious.
Yeah.
Like why were his feelings so like why does he want to fuck shit up so bad? But yeah, it was good.
It was good.
What did you think of Sulu's husband?
I thought that was handled very well.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, this guy looks kind of old. Like, I think Sulu could do better than this guy.
Who knows? Maybe he's a great provider.
Like
he's always out on expeditions.
I felt like they made him just old enough where it was like if people got way too up in arms about it, like Sony could just do like a whole thing where it's like, oh, well, he's actually his dad. He had him when he was really young.
Okay, maybe, sure,
but no, yeah, like I liked it. Like it was a nice moment.
Yeah, it wasn't over the top. Actually, there was an audible awe that came from Chelsea Danger when we watched that movie.
Oh, good.
When they saw put the arms around each other, she's like, "Oh." I was like, I knew you were gonna do that.
They still should have like had him like kiss or something.
Just a little peck on the cheek.
Yeah.
A little peck on the mouth.
Yeah. They were still a little too like formal. Like just make it show.
I got it.
Yeah. Like that art. Like when they put their arms around each other. Like that was pretty. It was pretty romantic. But I would have liked it more if they would have been like they would have like gotten like super ballsy with it. Like just have them just fucking full out kiss each other. Like. See, we're 2 gay dudes. We like banging each other. Get over it, America.
End of story.
Yeah.
Get over it, America. Yeah. Did you feel like they may have shoehorned a little bit more of like Anton Yelkin's character into this because of his
Not
passing?
really. He was kind of more like in the background. He was kind of like following Kirk and whatever he was doing. He wasn't really given like a "Hey, look at me" moment. He was just kind of like kind of informing what was happening to Kirk for the most part.
I mean, not that I have any complaints because I like him, but
I think he played his part really. He plays his part really well.
I thought they may have done that because of his passing. They would have thrown a little bit more of him in.
Yeah,
that really didn't really help the plot any. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was good in it.
There was a few moments where it felt like I know Simon Pegg wrote this, but it felt like there was like a few moments where like there was like some awkward like trying to make a relationship between him and Jayla. Like there'd be like, oh
sure.
Like there was like seemed like a lot of moments where you would like come up to her and be like, oh hey, what's wrong and stuff like that, and then it's like you two do not have any chemistry. Just move along. Just
move along.
Yeah. But it kind of felt like they were like trying to like force something, and then it's like, nah, not working. Let's go somewhere else.
I didn't get that as much.
I don't know. Well, maybe I'm just nitpicking.
There you go. Nitpicking.
Picking
What we do best.
That's what we do.
Picking nits.
Picking them nits. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd be excited for another one if they put it out. Hopefully they do it sooner than what they did from 3 to 2. Hey, thanks for listening. If you want to join us on social media, do so at ReviewReviewPod on Twitter. If you happen to be a Facebooker, do that ReviewReviewPod on Facebook. You can find us at our host site at reviewreviewpod.podbean.com, but you don't have to listen to just there. We are also on a multitude of platforms such as Google Podcasts, Alexa devices, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. If you happen to be an Apple user, rate and review us there, because if you like the show, that helps other people find the show as well. If you want to write in, do so at reviewreviewpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening again. We'll see you next time.
And we're off.